This video ran a little bit long and kind of jumps around all over the place. So I'm going to give you guys a precursor to the video, and if you decide to stick around to watch the rest of it, feel free. So the too long didn't watch synopsis of my video is my home theater PC, which was originally built out of an NVIDIA PC case. It was really running a little too hot for my comfort. It's a very compact case. There's not very much ventilation or airflow through it. And, well, I'll just come out and say it. One of my coworkers gave me some older high-end workstations slash gaming PCs that he pulled out of the trash a few years ago. And one of them happened to be water-cooled. That got me thinking, well, if I can reduce system noise and improve the thermal efficiency of the cooling system for no cost, why not? Turned out the cooling system is a Corsair, I believe they call it the H50. It's basically a all-in-one heat sink water block combination and pump with a permanently attached or connected radiator, which has some short hoses. So I went ahead and I tore the system down, and I realized that not only did it have that, but it also had a better processor than my home theater PC had. So I ended up taking the processor, which is a 6-core AMD, I cannot remember the name of the processor. I always forget it. I want to say Teardown, I want to say Athlon, but it's none of those. Anyway, a Phenom 2, that's what it was. A 6-core, I had a 4-core, so that got me all hot and bothered. So I went ahead and I stripped the thing down, and then I realized that I can't fit the H50 cooling system in my NVIDIA PC case because I don't have any 120mm fan mounts. So that kind of shot my plans to hell. So I ended up using the case that I was given, and that's going to be in the first part of the video, where we transfer the guts of my home theater PC to the case that is now sitting right here. And I was okay with that, but I realized that this is, by the way, a very cheap, very flimsy Thermaltake case, and it's probably one of the flimsiest cases I've ever seen, and I was very unhappy with it. So it just so happened that I was in my boss's office, she's technically my director, and realized that she has 2 older high-end workstations in her office that she got from her father, and she's really not sure what she's going to do with them, so I offered to buy them from her, and she gave them to me. And one of them was built out of this rather durable, heavy-duty Thermaltake Landbox Lite case. And this is one of those oddball layout device cases, which is designed for a compact, high-end gaming PC or a high-end workstation. It's a very nice case. Somebody paid a lot of money for this at some point. It has very thick steel, a very nice glossy enamel finish, and it even had a higher-end Antec Earthwatts, it's a 430-watt power supply. I had a 320, I think. So I'm like, all right. But then I started doing some research on this case, and it turned out that there's quote-unquote no way to install the Corsair H50 into this case. And I sought to prove them wrong, and I did. So this video will show you how to install a Corsair H50 radiator and cooling fan combo in this case. And just so that you don't have to watch the whole damn video, I'm going to show you how it goes in there. It's really easy. Now, one of the things you have to realize when working on this case is that it is very hard to work on, even if you're running it without a water cooling system. And that's because the case is extremely compact. It's basically, if you've ever looked under the hood of a Mini Cooper and wondered how they do simple maintenance, like change the timing belt, and realize that there's no room to put hands and fingers, well, this case is basically the same concept. There's no room to work, and by the way, this cover weighs about as much as that entire Thermaltake vertical tower box. Anyway, so here's a sneak peek of what's to come. So we've got the entire radiator and fan assembly mounted to the side panel. I didn't have to drill any holes, and I've been monitoring the cooling efficiency of this device, and it's actually quite good. I will say that it actually ran cooler by about 2 or 3 degrees in that case, and that's simply because of more airflow. And an easy modification that I can make, if you notice, I'm going to turn the case around here. So yeah, spoiler alert, you can do it. And not only can you do this, but I'm also going to tell you up front that that 6-core processor and the improved cooling has improved my system performance substantially. And I don't use this PC for much. I use it for watching streamed video content, either through Netflix, Vudu, Hulu, all those other services. I also have a lot of video content of my own that I've ripped from my own DVDs, and my family's and my friends, and Blockbuster, and we're not going to talk about it. But I have a lot of video content on this machine that I watch personally. And so, I mean, it's not really working very hard, but for the small amount of work that it does do, it is definitely improved. In fact, the performance that this machine put out was so poor for so long that I stopped using it for a while, and I just got sick and tired of it. It is running Windows 10. By the way, it's running it quite well. But it's also not a very bad machine to start out with. Quick specs. It's a 6-core AMD Phenom 2. I don't recall the exact model or the speed, but it's a decent processor. It has 8 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and of course I'm planning on upgrading it to 16 because why the hell not? It's now water cooled. It now has a few other improvements. It has a built-in eSATA header. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 USB ports, an integrated low-end graphics chip. I don't even know what it has for graphics, but it's not very high-end. I think it's Intel graphics, something very low-end. But it also has HDMI out, which is kind of nice. Great for connecting to my TV. It's a pretty decent case overall. I like the way it's built. But anyway, yeah, what were we talking about? So the side vents in this case don't go the entire height of the side panel. So what I could do easily, and this would be a 5-minute project, is drill a few, methodically spaced holes to improve the airflow through the radiator, but at this point it doesn't seem necessary. It actually flows pretty nicely. And just in case somebody asks, on this motherboard it only has one variable speed fan connector header, or fan header, and that is the CPU fan header. So when you're connecting a water block and pump to a motherboard like this one, you want to have the cooling fan on the radiator connected to the CPU fan header, and the pump, which runs at a fixed speed, is connected to the rear system fan header. Now I also have another cooling fan, just an intake fan that takes care of the hard disk drives. That is connected to the other case fan header. And I'm going to be adding a few other things to this machine just because I can. It actually has an unused 3.5-inch bay, and I was, just for fun, I was going to put a floppy disk drive in here. I've got one in this case over here, which you're going to see more of that later in the video. But what I'm going to do, and I've already ordered this, I'm going to install a Rosewill multimedia card slot reader. And that's going to go right there. And that's going to plug into, I have one unused USB header, and that's underneath the radiator. You have just barely enough room to get this thing to fit. Now, if it didn't fit vertically, you can put it in horizontally, and it will fit a little bit better. Unfortunately, you'll have to drill more holes in the side of the plexiglass side cover. Alternatively, You could actually take this plexiglass side cover completely off and install a solid metal panel, and then you could actually have a machine shop do this, or if you have the equipment to do it, you could cut your own holes and slots and whatnot, so that you get the alternate cooling experience. But with about 75% unblocked fins, this radiator does a half decent job. The other thing is, I've gone ahead and ordered a brand new cooling fan, better quality with a higher airflow rating. The fan that I have in here now is a cheap Thermaltake LED illuminated fan that you're going to see get modified later on in this video, because if there's one thing I don't like in life, and the one thing I absolutely despise, is the prolific use of blue LED, high-intensity blue LEDs in today's electronics. They're everywhere. They're polluting the landscape of the home. I mean, look at my coffee maker. It has 2 of them. That doesn't need to be that bright, and it doesn't need to be blue. But we're gonna talk about that later in the video if you decide to stay and watch the show. But I just wanted to show that yes, you can install excuse me, a Corsair H50 in a Thermaltake Landbox Lite. This is a pretty popular case. I think they still make this case. And it is, I gotta say, it is damn well constructed. On that note, let's move on to the next phase. We're going to transplant the guts from that PC to that case. Spoiler alert, it's only temporary. I don't know if you guys can hear that from here, but my home theater PC has been running a little warm lately. And by lately, I mean within the past year. I'd come home every day from work and this thing is screaming. But yet, I don't care. I just don't care. It still works. It hasn't melted down yet, but I think we're getting there. CPU usage is 4%. Memory 23%. 11% swap. So it's not like it's really working very hard, but nevertheless, it is running like it shouldn't be. So I think I might have a solution. So my coworker was cleaning out his basement. Now he regularly pulls computers out of the dump, and this just happens to be one of them. So it's a nice Thermaltake case. Basically a cheaply built gamer case is what it really is. But it has something in it that might be of interest to me. Hold on, I need 2 hands. It has a self-contained or package type water cooling system. This is who makes this one? Is it a Corsair? Careful. It's an ASETEK, A-S-E-T-E-K. Got your radiator, cooling fan, a water block with a built-in pump. And this is a sealed unit. This does not have a reservoir or any way of filling it. And it does turn on. It does pump water. I can hear it. I can actually hear it run when I plug it in. I powered it up on my bench, and it seemed to be fully functional. And what's even cooler, get it, is the fact that this machine has an AMD Phenom 2, or Phenom, 6-core processor, and I got some thermal compound there. Now, the problem is, the case that I have isn't designed for water cooling. It doesn't have any way of hooking up or installing a water cooling system. So I'm going to have to figure this out. I may have to use this case and board. I'm not sure if this board is any good. In fact, I'm willing to bet money on it that it's not. So, I mean, there's a reason somebody threw it away. I mean, you don't just throw away a 6-core machine because it's not the right color. So there's going to be a reason why somebody tossed this perfectly good machine out. Okay. Dusty. Last I knew, this machine had a busted CPU heatsink retainer. I never bothered to fix it. That's how much I care about this machine. I feel like such an ass, but I don't care. I mean, if it dies tomorrow, I'll just use some other machine that I come up with, so it's not like it's a big deal. But oh shit, this poor thing is so clogged. This is what happens when you don't maintain your systems, guys. Yeah, so we're gonna rectify that situation no matter what. But yeah, so it's got a 6-core AMD Phenom, and I'd like to see if that'll work in this machine or in this motherboard. I don't know whether this is a Phenom 2 or a Phenom. I don't remember what it was, and I guess we're back to the fact that I just don't give a shit. So yeah, that happened. Now, there we go. So we got to do something about this machine. This thing is just sad. It's just a sad machine. I built it back in 2011, I think. It was originally built in 2010. So I've got a Phenom 2. So that Phenom 2 6-core should work just fine in this machine. Poor thing. What do I have in there? It's a HDZ 955 FBK 4DGM. And this is a HDT 55TFBK 6DGR. Socket AM3. Socket AM3. Okay. So that's a no-brainer. We're just going to pop this baby right out. Carefully. Notice how I use my high-tech anti-static strap, and make sure I put it on that nice anti-static Formica countertop. So we're going to give her a new heart. Now, the socket is like covered in caked up heatsink grease from my lack of care. You know, it's like the carpenter who lives in a shack, the plumber who has water leaks throughout his entire house, the auto mechanic who drives a Cavalier with an exhaust leak. I mean, I just don't care about my own equipment. My laptop is 6 years old. My home theater PC is just an aging pile. Okay, so what do we got here? So I've got all the equipment needed to mount the water cooling system into this case, except a case that supports my efforts. So, as you can clearly see, I do not have room for this radiator. What am I to do? Well, I have a couple of options. One of those options is to run the case without a cover and just build a bracket or something for it, but I don't want to do that. There's just no way to mount this. And being a, I suppose I can mount this board into this case. I don't see why that would be an issue. I mean, it'll do it. That might just be the solution I choose. So I'm going to power it up briefly just to confirm that that CPU functions. I just rested the fan on there with a blob of heatsink grease. Just see if it starts up. Looks promising so far. No, I don't think so. Oh, there it goes. Dell to enter BIOS. Oh, missed it. Switching over. So the CPU appears viable. That's just my TV. Loading Windows. Oh, it's all glitchy. Device setup. So it sees that new processor. Or, no wait, that's something else. But it's already screaming like a bitch. Yeah, I don't think Windows 10 likes me swapping processors. I didn't set up the BIOS either. Let's see, AMD Phenom 2, 3.2, X4. So it still sees it as an X4. So we're going to let it finish whatever the hell it's doing. Alright, looks like the BIOS has detected the correct processor. Phenom 2X6 1055. All 6 cores are enabled. Cool. Well, you just need Windows to see it that way. Exit and save. Okay. Okay, it looks like it's now detected as a 6-core chip. Alright. Still not any faster, but well, we'll give it time. So at this stage, I've cleaned out the NTEC power supply. Now I'm going to stick with this and rather than this because this really looks to me like another cheap product, no name Sigma Innovation. I didn't really feel that, you know, this is it's made in 2008. That's interesting. So yeah, I'm like not going to bother with that one. But the NTEC I bought new, so I'm going to use that. I mean, it's a good power supply. It's never given me any trouble. I'm going to just finish ripping out all the stuff. When you really get this case torn down, you realize just how cheaply made it really is. I mean, this was not an expensive case. I think I paid something around 75, 80 bucks for it. It was not an expensive high-end case by any stretch. But we're going to be eliminating a lot of fans. Now, you're wondering, why don't you just go and fix, you know, that and replace it with replace the retainer? I mean, that would be the, you know, the most logical solution in most cases. If I didn't get a free water cooling kit, I'd be all over that. I would have fixed it already. But I'm not going to, you know, I got a water cooling kit, and I want this to be a quieter machine. I want it to run cool. I don't want it to, you know, have to stress so much. I mean, it's gone this long. The other thing is, you're probably wondering why I'm not testing the other motherboard. Well, sheer laziness is really the answer. I mean, I've got a working board with no problems right here. I'm not going to waste my time on another board that I don't know the history of. So, you know, it's pretty much, it's that simple, honestly. So I'm just going to transplant the board out of the home theater box. Really doesn't matter to me. This chassis weighs nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. It weighs less than that thing. Incredibly, it weighs nothing. Let's take a look at this board. Now this, I'm sure this board is fine. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to hang on to it. I mean, I'm sure it's a good board. I mean, it looks like somebody's paid a lot of money for it. So it's not going to go to waste. What the hell? Yeah, it looks like Newegg threw up. That's what this looks like. Just 18 different sizes of screw holding the board in place. I'm going to check this case over for damage. I don't want to build my system into something that's got some abuse to it, you know. But I cleaned this case too. I just wanted it to be free and clear of any dust and dirt buildup. This thing probably had a high-end graphics card that was yanked out of it. But I mean, look at this board. This is a nice, very nice board. It does light up. I actually applied power to it. I didn't get any error warnings or anything like that, so I don't know. I kind of wonder if it's stone dead or not. I don't even know. I haven't put memory in it to see if it lights up in a video card, but that would be my next logical step. But we're going to hang on to the board just in case. I wish there was a production date on this. That's easy enough to look up. See how old it is. So. Oh wait, we have some indication here. Let's see. This, wow, 2009, roughly. Older than I thought it was. Let me just unscrew the CPU retainer. Alright, the cool thing is the previous installer never used the self-adhesive alignment and retention strips. They're like self-adhesive, and we're going to just stick this on the bottom here. Alright, now we're going to go and attach the water block retainer, which is, where did I throw that? That's not it. That's the water block. What did I do? Oh, there it is. There's the retainer. It's made out of metal. Pretty high quality. So it would seem. I've never had a water-cooled machine before. I've never had an SSD either. See, this is anything I've ever owned. I've never had those cool things because I don't spend money on technology as much as you think someone who does it for a living would do, you know. Motherboard is mounted, power supply is mounted, connected to the motherboard. Now it's time to install the water cooling system. So I'm going to just squeeze that back. Actually, the water cooling system came from this case originally, so it's going to go right back to where it came from. Okay, as it turns out, I was right in that the CPU fan is controlled, CPU fan connector controls the pump. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of reorganize my wiring here, and then we're going to lock it in place. Okay, I had to loosen this retainer ring. I thought it just locked in place and, you know, you tightened it beforehand, but you don't. It turns out you have to tighten it after the fact. So we're going, I gotta put the camera down here. See if I can get it to stay somewhere. So what we're gonna do is, we got the ring loose. I'm gonna raise this ring up a little bit. I'm gonna loosen it a little more. And then it gets torqued down. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't read any instructions. I'm just doing this haphazardly. Helter-skelter is another word for that. And it's beginning to look a lot like a computer. I bet you thought I was going to break into a Christmas song, didn't you? Well, sorry to disappoint. But yeah, it's pretty much getting there. I've got the drives in. With the hard drives in this case, I had to take off the right side panel, which is something I don't see a lot of these days. A lot of cases are now completely toolless, or they don't require major panel removal anymore. Whoops, not this one. Alright. So yeah, pretty much done. Now it's just time to light it up and see what happens. Yeah! Okay. Not really sure how this is going to work out. I mean, you know, you can only transplant a board so many times before things don't go so good anymore. Maybe not. I did actually reuse the extra USB header from the old board, so I have 2 ports up front, 2 ports in the back, 2 USB 3 ports. No wait, let's start we have 2 USB 2 ports in the front and 6 in the back. And we have 2 additional USB 3 ports. Alright, okay. Now let's power this thing up. So we're going to drag it over to where the TV is, and we're going to plug it in. Okay, here we go. I thought I killed all the fucking LEDs. Oh, no more blue lights. Yeah. I mean, seriously, does a power indicator have to be that freaking bright? Anyway, I digress. I added a CPU, I'm sorry, an intake fan to the case. That way I don't have to worry about, you know, too much draw on this one. It's a little warm, but not like it was. I mean, this whole assembly is starting to warm up just a little bit. The air coming out is pretty cool, so yeah, I'll take that any day. Okay, so it looks like after running it for about an hour and a half, the temperature is now about 95 degrees. I actually left the Netflix window open paused, which back in the old days, that CPU fan would ramp up. But I never had the foresight to check the temperature before, so I never really knew. I knew it was over 100 degrees, but I mean much over. Right now we're running at just 35 degrees, and I'm actually starting to notice some performance improvements, multitasking especially. I ran a few applications at once, and it ran very smoothly. So I'm going to call this a success in every way imaginable. And then this happened. So I was in my boss's office talking about a project that we have going on, and I noticed that she had 2 gaming PCs sitting in there. That one and that one. And I asked her if she'd be willing to sell me one of them, and this is the one I was more interested in. The other one is a really nice, it's a Cooler Master case, I think, and it's pretty well built. But this Thermaltake LAN box is one of the better of the 2. It also has more of a home theater PC-ish look to it, which I kind of like. And she said, just take them both. And I said, absolutely, no problem. So I had to pull the hard drives out, and that's all she wanted out of them. These actually belong to her father, and her brother owned a major computer distributor, and ironically it was a company that we used to buy from, and so he always had the best of everything. You know, whenever a new system, a new processor came out, he'd build his father a new system using the best parts they had off the shelf. And this is currently a Core 2 Duo E6600 2.4. No RAM, no hard drive, but I'm not interested in building up a Core 2 Duo. So what I'm thinking now, here's where I'm going with this. It looks to me like my water cooling system will fit if I mount it against the side panel here. The only caveat is I have to do it after the drive cage is mounted and populated. So let's take a look at this case. The 5¼ inch bays are mounted in this removable cage. It's actually a very hard system to work on, to be honest with you. Hard drives are mounted down here, and there's an 80mm case fan up front. No provisions for a 120 anywhere, but we could mount, I believe, we could mount it to the side panel, and that's what I'm going to explore. Power supply is mounted to a separate panel here. When these alternative style cases came out, you know, I think I was in high school, and my friends started buying these things up. They would buy cube cases and small form factor cases. But this one will fit my logic board no problem, because I have a fairly small logic board. But this is one of the best quality cases I've ever seen. It looks like it was designed to take a beating, and it's got a lot of cooling to it as well. You've got an 80mm up front and two, I believe these are 40s in the back. It's got a fairly decent Antec power supply in it, and a fairly decent, for maybe 6-7 years ago, Core 2 Duo based logic board. Something I don't have any use for. I've got a 6-core AMD now, so what do I need that for, right? Well, you know, I originally I had actually researched this subject before. Can you put a Corsair self-contained water cooling unit in a land box light? And the answer is simply no. But I'm looking it over and I'm like, you know, okay, I wanted to put it right here. I thought that would fit when I first took the case apart, and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen because the power supply won't allow it. But I have an idea. If I take the power supply out, hold my beer. Okay, so we're going to take the power supply out of here. Just shift it down. Why do I want this case? I like this case. It is a beautiful case, and that's why I want to use it. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. I have other tricks up my sleeve. And I'm not using that cheap, crappy Thermaltake case that I got earlier. It's just a crappy case. I don't like it at all. Doesn't look good. Just don't like it. If I put the unit over here, now of course it'll have to be unbolted in order to make any modifications to the system. And these hoses, god dang, they're just in my way. I route the hoses like that. As long as I don't hear any leakage, I'm in good shape. Okay, we're going to put the power supply back in. This might work. Whoa! Knocked the camera over. Ah, this might actually work. So, the straight answer is no, you can't do this. But the reality is, you can make this work. It can be done. It just isn't as straightforward as plugging things in and screwing stuff. But yes, it can be done. And I'm going to prove it to you. But yeah, I found a whole forum or posting on this whole subject. And so here's what you got to do. You got to push the drive tray in place. And look at that. It fits. It fits right here. And all I got to do is drill a couple of holes. And presto. Presto changeo. It'll fit. It'll work. There's enough airflow. I don't even have to drill holes here. There's enough airflow right here to provide for cooling, and we're going to make it work. But there's a couple of things you have to take into consideration. You have to, before you mount anything in place, you have to route all your power connectors. Now this drive tray will not slide out of place unless you dislodge or unscrew your fan assembly, which we can do. That's not a problem. That, you know, moving components to get to other components that's just a fact of life when you're working on small cases. Now, I don't have any long PCI cards that will interfere. Let's take a look. Take this out of here. Let me mount my cards first before I give it my before we get the go-ahead to start drilling, because I've got to drill some holes. Alright. Let's take these slot covers out. I just need 3 exposed. I mean, the way I look at my home theater PC is that it's one of the, it's like I treat it like an appliance. It's not something I'm going to make constant changes to. But I just happen to get all this hardware, all these parts, for free. I didn't pay a dime for any of it. The water cooling, the CPU, a LAN box. I mean, it all was completely free to me. So I'm not really, this isn't something I would have done otherwise. In fact, if it wasn't for all this free shit, the thing would still be overheating on me. I kid you not. That's how much I really care. Alright. Why don't I care? You're going to be asking, why don't you care? Well, because there's more to life than computers. And I spend my entire day fixing other people's computers. It's just what it is. So, alright, it looks to me like everything is going to fit just fine. There's my two, I got my wireless, my USB 3, and I've got a backplane oh, where did I put that? That's in the other case. But a backplane USB 2 device. It's got two cooling fans in the back. Now these are going to add significant noise to the case, which is, you know, that's just what it is. Oh yes, I've got to mark off where those holes need to go. So we're going to mount the radiator with the reservoir tank pointed upward like this, so that it puts less strain on the hoses. Although it might make more, no, that's what I want to do. I don't want to make it any, we've got to make sure that an optical drive will fit in there. I have two optical drives, I'm only going to use one. People don't use, nobody puts two optical drives in their PCs anymore. That used to be a thing. I don't know who amongst you remembers that, but having more than one optical drive was a big deal years ago because it was for duplicating disks. But who does that anymore? I mean, I have disk duplicators at work, professional ones. So, yeah. I just realized I can actually screw the radiator assembly in place using two existing slots. So I only have to drill two holes. Just two. And I'm going to bring it up. I got to give myself enough room for the headers on the board. And I'm going to need some two longer screws. I should have them here somewhere. Look for two long screws. I know I've got some. Well, things are getting really tight in here. As I add cables, I got the drive cage populated and installed. I've got, I found an eSATA header in this machine that I decided, what the hell, why not? What else? I replaced the stock LED illuminated fan with a standard black one. And yeah, it's just getting really tight in this case, but I think it'll all work. I mean, there's still plenty of room for stuff to move around. And this, again, it has to be secured only when everything else is in place. It's the last thing I have to put in. I've got the drive cage ready to go in. But before I do that, I've got to pre-run my power cables, because this is a tight case, very difficult to work in. Makes you kind of wonder why I'm doing it in the first place. Let's take a look at this case. Now this is my alternative case. This is one of the old, like all older Thermaltake, did I say it? Thermaltake cases. This is a pretty high quality case. This one is probably from about, if I were to hazard a guess, I'd say 2005. That one's from 2007. Can you believe it's that old? I know. But it has this really cool StarTech hot swap SATA drive bay. This is pretty cool. You can actually select, selectively start and stop different drives and pop them out like that. It's pretty neat. Can't put it in that case. It requires, looks like, two 5 1/4 inch bays stacked, so it's a little hard to manage. It's got a floppy drive. It's got, look at this massive heatsink. This is I believe an AM2 logic board. It uses DDR2 RAM. It's got, what is that? That's 1 gig of RAM times 1, 2, 3. There were 4 of these in there. Let's see what the other 2 are. Yeah, it had 4 gigs of RAM. That's all it had. It was all DDR2, and nothing I'm interested in. It's got a chipset cooler, a nice discrete ATI graphics card. Not sure what the specs are on that, but this was a gaming PC or a high-end workstation from about 2005. But you look at this massive heatsink. It's active. It's got a built-in cooling fan. Here's the graphics card. Ooh, it's an all-in-wonder. Or, yeah, that's pretty neat. That's really cool, actually. All-in-wonder 2006 PCIe. Interesting. What else? Yeah, I just got an this is an MSI board, so it has an onboard diagnostic header. Pretty cool. I bought the very first motherboard I ever bought brand new. That goes to the graphics card. The first one I ever bought new was an MSI, and I liked that board. It was a good board. So, but yeah, it's got this really cool StarTech hot swap bay. I have no use for that here. But hey, you know, maybe in the future I'll find a use for it. Yeah, alright, cool. Cool. Okay, back to our project case. I got a lot of wiring to run. Wanted to have this done by 11. I could almost do that too. The bloggers said it couldn't be done. The forum posters said it could never be done. But we got it done. We've installed the Corsair 50. What the hell is this thing called? I don't know. I don't know what the exact model number is for Corsair, but the Ace-Tech all-in-one package water cooling system. We got it successfully installed in a LAN box without any case modifications. Not one modification. So you see it here. It works. It's there. The only thing, so you'll notice there is some restriction of airflow on the top here. That can be rectified. All I've got to do is drill a few holes. I only needed 2 screws to mount it in place, and it's firmly mounted there. It's not going anywhere. I didn't have to drill any holes for the mounting purpose, or for the purposes of mounting. I didn't have to drill any holes, but I may, if I find that the temperature is a little on the high side, what I'll do is I'll just drill a couple of holes right here in the top, in this section here, and that will improve the airflow. I do have a brand new fan on order for this. I don't like this fan. I just don't think it's a very good quality product, and I don't trust it. So it's going to be replaced with a higher quality unit. And the way it's mounted, it's not putting a lot of pressure on these connectors. It's just flattening them out a little bit. So it's not really an issue. I mean, you can clearly see how cramped this case really is when it's loaded up like this. It's just wires everywhere. When I get it apart, the next time I have it apart, I'll sort these out a little bit nicer. No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to say, I'm thinking about adding a floppy drive to the case, but I think that'd be kind of pointless, and it would just make it even worse. But hey, we're going to power it up and see what happens. I'm going to put I'm not going to put the top cover on just yet. This is a Thermaltake case. I don't know why I keep saying Thermaltake. Thermaltake case, and it's a very flimsy product. It has no structural integrity. I swear to God, this case must have cost 50 bucks, if that. I didn't end up using my green Antec power supply because the one that came in this box is a better quality. It's also a 500 rather than a 380. So I have more faith in this power supply than I did the other one. I mean, free stuff is free stuff. If it's better than what I had, I'm going to use it. So, anyway, we've got one optical drive, one unused slot, 80mm fan up front, 2 40mm fans in the back, or those 20s. Those are 20s. I think they're about 20 millimeter. That's one way to find out. I could measure them. I should know this. I should already know what size they are in my head, but deal with it, I don't. Very blunt and to the point today. Where is that other fan? I just took it out and I put it where? I don't know where I put it. It's not on the table. I actually do want to know where that fan went. The one I removed. I'll deal with it later. But now that I'm wondering where the hell it is, it kind of bothers me. Okay, powered up. I'm going to have to readjust my shelving to compensate. I might have to bring, that one's got to come up one notch, which, yeah, I think I can do that. The PS3 may end up going away. I'm going to try to sell it, I think. I don't use it. Why have it if I don't use it? I've never used it. I turned it on once. I started buying accessories and I never used it. I'm not a gamer. It's a fact of life. Oh great, another ridiculously bright power LED. Let's see what we get here. I don't hear any noisy fans. I did hear the water pump kick in. You could hear like a little bit of air in there. It goes, you know, because it's been jostled around a little bit. All the fans are moving, including the two back ones. Two rear exhaust fans. Christ, now I know what it's like to be a Mini Cooper mechanic. I mean, really, you can't get into anything in those cars without tearing the world apart. That didn't sound good. Did you hear that? Oh, maybe not. I just heard that PC speaker beep at me. I'm not sure why. It's booting. Everything seems to be healthy. Power supply fan isn't noisy. I was actually kind of concerned. Anytime you have a power supply with an unknown history, it's kind of imperative to know what its health is. Optical drive opens and closes nicely. This will be the this is the fourth case this board has been in. The fourth one. But it's booting up. Everything looks healthy and functional. Alright. Alright. I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, again, if the CPU temperature gets up too high, or if it doesn't seem stable, then I will improve the cooling by adding some holes. But again, no modifications made, and we fit a 120 millimeter cooling system into this little LAN box light, and that sounds good. But yeah, worst case scenario, later on down the road, I might just have to drill a couple of holes in there, and that's not a big deal. It's only acrylic. I can take this off. 10/25/2007. It's an old box, but it's in really good shape, and I couldn't turn this case down. This thing is beautiful. It looks great. It's got a. We're gonna fix that right the fuck now. That light's got to go. That's too damn bright. Hard drive LED doesn't work. Just notice that. I'll fix that too. Alright, spent about an hour fudging with the case to make everything fit perfectly, and raising the shelf and doing all this other stuff, and here we go. Okay. We've got what appears to be the power LED. And hard drive LED. You notice how they're both red. If I could hunt down and beat the shit out of the motherfucker who came up with the idea of bright blue LEDs all over every fucking thing ever, I would. No, not seriously. But I had to take out that bright blue power LED because it was just like I could light up an airstrip with it. Yeah, it's just that bad. But look at how quickly it booted up. They're just, why so bright? I mean, look at this. This is my home theater receiver. Look at this. Why? Why so damn bright? I mean, come on. You could, things are so much better when they had darker, more subdued LEDs. Now everything is lit up like the sun. I mean, look at this. This is an old cassette deck. Look at that. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Actually, it doesn't have very many. I thought it had. It doesn't have any lights on it at all, but good to go. So all that's left is to install that new fan, and I'm going to relocate the feet because now it's too deep for this shelf. There's always something, right? So I've got to relocate the feet in the back to be more closer to the front so that it fits. That shouldn't be a big deal. But ugh, all this time. All this time. But it was so worth it. I mean, that's a really nice, well-made case, and I like it. All right, we're done.